One of the wonderful things in my mind about Sherlock Holmes is that he did come from the real world and not the other way around. So it's not a fictional character who inspired real-life imitation, it was a real-life person who inspired fictional imitation. So Dr. Joseph Bell was Arthur Conan Doyle's mentor at the University of Edinburgh, and he was a physician who had this gift of keen observation. So I think it's remarkably inspiring to realize that Holmes was a real person first, because it makes you really understand that what he does is something that we can all aspire to, is something that's based on very practical, very real approaches and ways of thinking. It's not just some fictional creation that we can dismiss as such. So one of the reasons that I really love the Conan Doyle stories is it's just this ready-made analogy for the human mind in terms of the dual process model. Now, the dual process model of thinking isn't new. It was popularized by Daniel Kahneman with his System 1, System 2 approach. But Holmes and Watson really embody these two systems incredibly well. So System Watson is what I call System 1, that really just reacts, that uses fewer cognitive resources. It's where we do most of our thinking. But Sherlock Holmes, or System Holmes, that's the System 2, that's the reflective, cool system. It's more mindful. It also uses many more of your brain's resources. So it's something that we need to deploy wisely. The brain attic is Sherlock Holmes' metaphor for the human mind, for how it takes in information, how it stores that information. And it's a really quite a remarkably accurate metaphor or way of thinking about the brain. If you think about a physical attic, there's only so much space there, and so what Holmes says is be really careful what you put up there, make sure that you're choosing wisely, and also make sure that you're encoding it properly, that you're labeling those boxes, that you're tagging them, that you're cross-referencing everything. Otherwise you won't be able to find it when you need to, and your mind won't be able to make connections between items when it doesn't really know what it's looking for or where to look for them. So the more effective you are, the better your memory will be, and the more likely you'll be able to retrieve whatever is in your mind attic and use it productively. One of the things that Holmes does incredibly well is be creative and allow his imagination time to work. We often think of him as just this very cold, rational, reasoning person, and he is. But he's also incredibly imaginative. And that's one of the things that mindfulness helps with. Because mindfulness and imagination, these are both about distance, about learning to take a step back and to give your mind time to think, time to make connections, time for material to percolate there, so that you're able to have these aha moments, which is, I think, a little bit of a misnomer, because your brain has been working on the problem the entire time. It doesn't come from nowhere. You have to be observant. You have to have all the raw material there. You have to have stocked your mind attic properly in order to have those aha moments. But they seem that way because you've been doing quote-unquote nothing. But really that nothing is incredibly productive, because our brain needs time to rest. You can't always be doing things. You can't always be distracting yourself. Sometimes it's best just to sit quietly, or as Holmes would do, smoke 3 pipes. It's a 3-pipe problem, as he says in The Adventure of the Red-Headed League. Uni-task, uni-task, uni-task should be the rallying cry of this book. Our brains are not meant to multitask. They can't multitask. When we think we're multitasking, we're really switching attention rapidly between different things. That depletes our resources. It makes us less able to concentrate. And so Holmes, in my mind, is the quintessential unitasker. And if we learn one thing from him, it's the power of that approach.